I have worked with some of you before at the platform, so yeah, good to see everyone. Looking forward to the session.
So for those who so for those of you who don't know, we don't know Orlo, or don't use Orlo. We are the UK's #1 social media management platform, a title that we're very proud of, along with being the world's only social media management platform that focuses on public sector. We put into focus and prioritise conversations, so whether that be through social, through live chat, through SMS or text, and through automation as well. And these are just some of over 100 of our local government customers that have actually used it Orlo as well. So delivering on the priorities of our local community and your citizens is, I guess, what every council actually aims for. Orlo helps all of our local organisations establish better connections, build trust with residents, and overall get a real sense of the voice of the citizen. So I know Phil touched on this earlier, and Ben, he's in our product team. So these are just some of the challenges that I know you guys are all facing at the minute, some of the many challenges, especially at the minute. So I mean, budget, not only the council having to cut budget across all different departments, so whether that be education, department of social care, home office, and all the rest. Reserves are also being spent, so along with increases in council tax, charges, fees, all of this then contributes to a huge lack of trust. So not only within local government, there's a huge lack of trust, I think, within the public sector as a whole. I mean, the cost of living crisis, the cost of living crisis, for example, has led to citizens needing more support than ever, not to mention COVID and how we're still feeling the impacts of that. So everything here means that budgets are being cut to account for any overspend, resources and time, which then leads to the ever increasing demand on local council. So residents can no longer access the same frontline services that they've been able to in the past, when they used to being able to access that. Now they're like, what's going on? Again, so that lack of trust, it's a constant cycle. So because of lack of budget, lack of resource, leads to the lack of trust, adds to the ever increasing demand. So it is just that ongoing cycle. So linking back to our theme of engagement, demand and trust, along with the theme of expect the unexpected. I mean, that's what our big performance today. We didn't even know, did we, that was going to happen. So we were just as surprised this year. But yeah, so looking back to the theme of engagement, demand and trust. So we at Orlo support you with simplifying your social media strategy to increase engagement, see that rise in impressions, rise in reach, but also we want to make sure that you're getting the right information to the right people, so they're getting the right support as well. And again, I guess, deflecting that demand. So how at Orlo are we adding value? So key things. Your citizens are always going to be talking about letting everyone know what they think, so whether that's good, bad, positives and negatives, and talking about what actually matters to them most. So being able to listen in and actually analyse these key trends, key themes, or even search for keywords of what your citizens are talking about. So whether that be a new car park in the town centre, ongoing work, a specific project, different campaigns, being able to see what's actually causing that negative talk as well as the positive talk as well. With the ability to actually message tag in our inbox, you can identify the most popular message tags, meaning you can start to look at the most common queries that are coming in. So starting to track these key themes then in turn can help influence what content you're pushing out to hopefully lower these inbound queries, free up your time, your limited time and resource to do things that matter. So cross-team collaboration. So Orlo allowed you the ability to leave from internal notes for all different colleagues. So whether that means someone from marketing, someone from customer services, so being able to view everything across the different teams within your own platform will hugely benefit your audience. With social accounts shared across the platform as well, it facilitates this cross-team collaboration, helps you keep a consistent tone of voice across your organisation, along with, this is easy to help in prevent any content clashes as well. So you can see that actually somebody from libraries has posted something at 12, I know now to not post more content out at that time. So that all helps with the cross-team collaboration as well. I mean, not only that, a lot of our councils are also bringing their customer service team into Orlo as well, to work alongside the comms team, leaving the internal notes, again, enables cross-team collaboration within the organisation. Auditing then, so the auditing feature within Orlo allows you to essentially keep track or have a trail of everything that's happened on any inbound messages or any outbound posts within the outbox. So essentially you can see a full history on that post or on that message. So whether there's any sentiment changes, if anybody from a particular team has gone in, edited that, deleted that, or even recent cases, you do have functionality to export messages with tamper check, with timestamps, in case you try and see what's gone on posts and on messages as well. But then the auditing feature, I guess, also allows you to look back and judge your most successful interactions, but then on the flip side of that, your unsuccessful interactions as well. So potentially look at whether your internal processes are working, and again, what's not working. Whether you're wanting to improve an increase in inbound messages, prove an increase in specific queries, again, looking back to the message tagging, or highlight, again, what your top performing posts are. And on the flip side, what's not working and what actually you don't need to post this out as well. So all of this drives change and takes into account, again, the voice of the citizen to make any data-driven decisions and improvements.
Cheers, Lena. So yeah, I just wanted to touch a bit more on the data-driven decision aspect, because it's not only public sector but private sector as well. I definitely see this area as is underutilised. I know you're busy and it is easy to just kind of put content out there, see what sticks, but realistically, and I know especially local government, it is rough out there. By implementing some of these, some heavy basic changes, you're giving yourself the best chance, basically, in terms of turning things around, stopping the tide. Although, some of you will agree it can be relentless. I won't go through all of them, because the private team are going to come in shortly and just go through some of these in a bit more detail in terms of Orlo specifically, not in a general sense. But a couple of things you can do: tracking the public sentiment, putting content out there, getting a barrage of negative or positive, if you're lucky, content coming in. Are you sitting back at, let's say, the end of the month or week and seeing what the themes are, both in a general sense, 80% negative, and then why is that? Or just in a more granular sense, so you can actually tag incoming content, so is it around repairs, opening times, X, Y, Z, gather those themes. What's that? Bins, yeah, that's the fair one. Gather bins, people love the bins for some reason. And if you're finding you're getting thousands of questions about the bins, you need to ramp up your comms, and I'm sure you are already kind of talking about that every day anyway, but at least you know what the key aspects are. It doesn't stop there just in terms of the incoming content that's on your page. Think about social listening, so what's being said outside of that realm. You're in the bubble on your social media account, you're seeing the same names popping up, the same complaints, I'm sure that people know those names. but there's extra conversations going on, people speaking amongst their friends, communities. There might be issues that need to be tackled that you're not aware of. So there's loads of tools out there in terms of listening. Luckily there is one built into Orlo as well. But finding what those themes are, what the sentiment of the parameters are, and even in some cases, be proactive. So if I'm speaking to my neighbours about a potential issue and the council come in, provide some advice on that, send me to the best resource, perfect, it saved me a job. Don't have to call up, wait in a massive queue, don't have to, fill out loads of forms. I really appreciate that. So, yeah, one time constraint, but it does improve life around really. And then that leads on to kind of what to then do when you put that content out. So, are you analysing that content performance? Not only top level, what was the reach X, Y, Z, but what type of content is working well? Is it video? Is it images and so on? I know, Darren, that's something you're going to touch on in more detail during your panel session, so you have to learn more about that. But once you've got that content, and even when Helena was speaking in her presentation just then, 70% sure, putting stuff out. That doesn't mean just keep going at 70%. You do need to review what's working, what's not working, to do more of this. Finally, what I want to talk about, competitor analysis. So basically, are you on the right track in terms of your sector? You've got different audiences and so on, but you will see themes and you'll know kind of similar size councils or similar councils in your region that posted about the same thing. So are you doing that benchmarking? What's your performance? What content's working well for those council bosses that kind of steal a few ideas? What's not working well? You might have been thinking about, post about this topic. Do some analysis first. Someone's already been there, done that. It was awful. Just avoid it basically. Share hand over. Is there anything you want to add there in terms of the decision specifically?
I guess it links back to as well, I mentioned on not only proving what content works, but actually proving what content doesn't work. So I guess for some of you, it's maybe pressure. You need to push this content out, then we need to get this information out. But actually, no, it doesn't work, no engagement, nothing on that, so why are we still trying to push that out? But then you can have the data here, you have the proof to then feed that back, whether it be weekly and fortnightly, and say actually, this isn't what works, this is what works, we need to push more of this out. So again, it links back to working both ways.
Yeah, especially if you're getting pressure as well from people to do certain things, you've got the start. And then finally, just on around keeping to the theme, expecting the unexpected. It is hard, we don't have a crystal ball, can't predict what's going to happen. I think the key thing to do is just trying to stay in the loop and then act fast, essentially. We've noticed, even with the whole Twitter X saga, some of people have been coming off to it completely. That's your decision and sort of exploring other options. Others have scaled it down in terms of not managing your customer service agreements on Twitter and instead choosing a more stable platform, I would say. We know some of you have kind of got that Threads account as well, so ready. I know it's pretty dead at the moment, but but it doesn't pick up. You've got your account ready to go, so these are some of the things to think about. And then having that strategy in place when the time comes. So just on that, segue nicely, I'm just going to introduce Misha and Marie now from Manchester City Council. They're going to talk about some of the fantastic work they've been doing around some of their social campaigns. So, a round of applause.
Cheers, mate. Start off by saying we are still quite proud of but today we're just going to talk through some of our campaigns, some of the content, just show you what's worked for us and then just leave you some ideas to go back to your organisations and then work on. So we're from Manchester, we're proudly Mancunian. We go on about it in a lot of our content, but it's worked for us and I'm sure you're all proud of it. So we're going to show you some things that you can work with.
Okay, so what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about our processes, and that's basically how we go about decide how to decide what we want channels, don't we? All our content on all the channels at the same time. And the segment our channels. When we do our engagement-led stuff, we obviously do our more priority business-led stuff and how it works and how we make it work on our platforms. Basically, we spend a lot of time communicating our priorities by using that and doing it on our bigger channels, our main channels, and they're the more serious channels that we use to do that role. And then we utilise our engagement-led content because in the public sector, as you probably all know, our priorities can be a little bit dry. So we tend to get really flanky on people and how why they should love our city and use our engagement stuff to kind of promote it, get the highest reach, and then it gives people more time to actually settle on our stuff, which tends to work for us. I'm also going to talk about how we convey pride in our city. That's not just how we as a council have pride in our city, it's how as a staff have pride in our city. Cleaners should also be proud of our city, and sometimes there are things that we don't even know what's going on in our own city. We've been here all their lives, they're 60 years old maybe, and there's certain things they might not know, but we'll try and give them a little bit of that taste as well.
So again, on both methods, kind of what Michelle was saying. So we have our individual feeds, individual channels, and we strategize for each of those channels based on what our tone should be for those channels, which is also based around the type of content we usually see on that. Twitter and LinkedIn might have a more corporate tone, Instagram and TikTok will have a more tone, and each individual strategizes for that as well. And as a team, we each take ownership of each respective channel. So we become our own experts basically for each feed. And the way we work as well is we work across the whole department, so we feel on the experience of people like press team or web team. And we also feedback regularly, so every week we have run down each of the feeds or come to a brainstorm meeting and then just talk through the feeds we're doing. And we also have fortnightly engagement meetings where we talk about different trends that we still feels and anything we can jump on. So we'll kick off by talking about some of our priority led campaigns. So this is more of like a more call campaign, so deal with the council. The big one for us at the minute is our campaign in Manchester Fair, which is based around our anti-poverty strategy, and in particular, it's focused on tackling health inequality. The way we've been approaching this, well, first of all, for our copy, we're taking a big supportive and passionate tone, which I'll get on to when we talk about some of it. But we also do a lot of A/B testing with this. So we fiddle about with how graphics are received by the algorithms. We also fiddle about by using different platform features. So like, let's put video up with our own subs, maybe try another video up with also subs, let's download and like it, let's see what works. At the core of this, and first for us, has been our podcast. So we've also been using this approach to so far, a lot of our social has been based on ads, but it's also been really good. So within the first 4 posts today, we've had just under 500,000 impressions. So it really pays off just trying new things. The next big campaign, this was a real highlight for our work in the last few years. This is called MCA COVID Stores. So in the heart of the pandemic, when Manchester was in lockdown, we were supporting the government message of keeping safe and keeping distance. But we decided, going back to what we said before, of giving it that little bit of a main spin and actually engaging with our residents a little bit more. We reached out to people in our staff networks, we reached out to members of the public, and we asked them, why are you making this sacrifice? Why is it important to you to abide by the rules? And most importantly, what are you looking forward to run through the company? Basically, what we were doing is we were giving voice to ordinary people and we were letting them control the narrative. And when you make a narrative like this, people relate to it. And NCR Purpose Stories was an approach that people identified with a lot. We'll show you a quick example where we spoke to one of the subject called ability, and what data we see from them.
My name's Daisy and I'm 10 years old. Well, it's changed because we have done lots of Zoom calls instead of actually seeing people, and in lockdown it was mostly just like backing up a bit from the door, knocking on like the family's houses and like just saying hi to them and seeing how they are, and then not being able to open the door, not very fun anymore. Made me feel very sad not knowing that I can run up to my grandma or my Nana Jean and my Nana Jean's partner Alan, and just making sure I can give them a big cuddle or card. We have seen her one time, we went up for the day and had like a little picnic there, and then we went back into lockdown, so we can't see her now, and we don't want to go round, give them something and make them ill and then really want who have gave it them. And she keeps sending me cards because I can't see her. And in the card she's gave me little quizzes and little games to do. And it's very nice for her to do that, and I send her little cards back, or if you've not got any cards or anything, I just call her and say thanks for it and I'll try and get it back to you. I miss her very much. Everyone's moaning about it and wanting it to go away so they can see their friends and their family, but the only way we can do that is making sure you're social distancing, wearing a mask and sanitising your hands and washing it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to going down to my teams, giving them a big cuddle and getting everything back to normal, like making sure I can go swimming, I can go to a trampoline park and I can do all the fun stuff again and just get life back to normal. Even if you're getting bored at home, you've probably got loads of things that you can do. You can make stuff, and you just need to do a bit and making sure you're keeping everyone else safe, and that's how we can get back to normal.
The campaign remained consistent and what's really important about the story is Daisy's story. With a child, and when people identify with charity, especially in the time of the parents, that's what needs to be changed because they see the time. And to get those stories, we wanted to really unify that throughout the whole city. If you were in Manchester at the time, probably saw whiteboards and digital whiteboards. People related to the stories, and that's how you get a message across. Make a story that's viable, make a story that's relatable, and that will make a change. Okay, so kind of following on to that and going a bit more in depth with what I'll talk about was first of all, this is probably one of the biggest issues of our time, like this, and if anyone here is working in the government, you probably will tackle this. How we tackle it is when we talk about the cost of living crisis, we don't simply talk about support services, and we don't simply talk about just how difficult it is. What we really want to do is frame how we talk about poverty as a whole. And how we frame talk about poverty is we don't entrench people to make them feel as if their entire lives are they're just steeped in poverty, and we don't make them feel as if they have to be solely reliant on services. So how we do that is how we frame things, and we start off by leading with statements of fact. A statement of fact in the cost of living crisis is that people who are hungry should not have to be solely reliant on food banks. Things can change. A statement of fact is this is not another way of living for people, and another statement of fact is the cost of living crisis can affect people of all walks of life. When you start off with that, taking that more personal, more compassionate tone, and it's making it more identifiable, and people don't really feel like they're being told that. And then we further that along as well by, like I say, not making people feel as if they need to be solely reliant on services, by making them feel like things can change now. So we'll say things like, your food bank are there to help you, to give you a hand. Mancunians are there to give you a lift when you need it. It's been a really important approach for us, and it's one that's changed over time. Since we've taken this new selling voice in the last year, we've also seen about a reach of just over 200,000 in the social media channels, and probably just and that's about from the end of the year today.
Okay, so this is probably the most serious thing we've got to deal with all Mr. Reynolds to deal with. How he's happy with this particularly is, obviously we all know that this instance is now going clearly wants to go, and he's trying to put together an active start to kind of start getting ready for that day when she unfortunately passed away. That includes getting on the official photographs through, coming back from the official channels, getting the press team ready who's going to be working on it. We're quite lucky that we have quite a big plans team, so our internal team, our web team, the social media team, our marketing team, we all kind of got together and say this is what we're planning. And on the day that the news came out that she was ill, this is slowly around the background just to make sure that the correct end the death dates were down on the thing that you were ready on social. We are actually some of Orlo, and thankfully it's a good thing for us because when it was announced, Orlo has a function, it's a lockdown function. So everything that we had scheduled in, the minute the news came through, we were able to just press that button and stop it all down out. And it basically saved us from anything dodgy going out the minute the death was announced. Then obviously we've also got to collaborate with the UK government's messaging they want to go out, but also we want to do it in our way. So how we did it was telling people how Manchester is commemorating her death, what Manchester is going to do to honour everything that's been done. It was a unique experience. We told them where they could leave flowers, what was going to happen with those flowers afterwards, how our archives library was actually going to preserve them. We got our, we collaborated with the social team, our rich media team, our video team and the press team. It's really got word that Countess and the Earl of Essex were going to come visit Manchester, which we weren't expecting. We got the warning of that day. So we kind of got that all together and got people down to actually put on social media, and we were also working from home that day. So it was about collaborating with people on the ground and getting it through teams and getting it to the people that were put on social, that were rating the messages. And it was a massive learning curve for us, but actually it turned out we did quite well because the main UK government cited us as one of the best accounts it's seen for putting actual coverage of the Queen. So it's one of the things we were extremely proud of. It wasn't Mancunian spoon because that's what we're all about. You'll hear me say it loads because we're proud of our city. We're lucky to have a team that love our city and want to do it in the best light. So that's basically we pulled that through into this to make sure our residents knew what was going on. They could go and watch the funeral procession in town, put up big screens up, and that's how it's happened in really. It's all about trust. We've got a team that you trust as well. They all love their jobs, we know they all love their jobs, and they always want to do the best for the city. So we were able to delegate very, very easily and know that something was going to go as we had it needed to go and not cause us any trouble. And that's how we tried to move forward. So, the key takeaways from this first part are that we have developed our own tone of voice, our Mancunian speak, even on the serious stuff. Because we know our Mancunians can quite get to the crowd. I'm pretty sure you've got to the crowds as well, especially on Facebook. It's probably the hardest part about a lot of them, isn't it? It's bespoke to our city, it's bespoke to our residents, it's bespoke to our businesses, and that's how we just to make it personal. We also communicate back in terms of the comments. So if we're getting comments from other people, we ensure that we're getting back to them and having a two-way conversation. We find that one of the big things that we say is if you don't converse back with them, it's the same equivalent of walking to someone at the customer service desk, asking them a question and then walking away. You wouldn't like it, so we play it back in.
So we'll move on to more engagement-based content. So engagement-based stuff is usually what we think of as creative things or tapping into awareness days, And the great thing about it is that it really boosts up your corporate core content, because the algorithms love it, the feed love it, and also the audience loves it as well. Really vital one for us is Black History Month. We try to really actively engage with this every year. And over the last 2 years, we've sort of developed our approach to it by making our content more diverse and by including more staff voices in it. 2 of our approaches have been allowing more staff to come on board and share their staff stories, and also sharing things for our archive as well. So with the staff stories, we reach out to our Race Equality Network and we ask for any participants from them just to talk about their reflections on the month and talk about their experiences as members of the staff. And it's great because if you're celebrating diversity and you're living in a diverse society and a diverse city, why isn't your content reflect that as well? And then in terms of the archive work, these are really easily replicable approaches to getting good engagement content. Because these are stories that are basically set in our archives, and we just need a little bit of copyright work and a little bit of research skills just to bring stories to life. We've done 2 so far. One, which was on the 5th Pan-African Congress, which was a series of meetings after the Second World War that were seen as the first steps towards decolonisation, and they took place in central Manchester. The second one was an article on the Losing Gospel Train, which was a landmark rock concert that took place in the Dixie Orlo area, and we've got Mick Jagger talked about it for years. It's been really vital for them in expansion. Both of these stories, they started off as basically pictures that were sat on. We did our own research, quite thorough research as well. I mean, I even put sources on that system, just to make sure that everything was accurate. And it was a really good way of using Twitter as it was back then, because the thread function just allows you to make your point by tweet. So you can have a really impactful thread there, because each tweet is basically a new point. And they're still saying Twitter, but there we go. But yeah, I'd say give it a go, absolutely. And again, if you're tapping into an awareness month like that, you're really celebrating the city.
Okay, ice cream day. It's sort of priority. And I suppose this is following your theme, expected. You're chucking it down the stream and we're going to talk about ice cream. So basically, this started from walking the streets, and we noticed a plaque on the floor that said Rice's IDs. We were like, what's that got to do with Manchester? So a bit of research, we basically found out a couple of things that would cover Manchester Banking history, community-led engagement, and also a Manchester invention that we had no idea that we'd done in the city. Cutting a long story short, Ancoats is an area just outside the city centre. And hundreds of years ago, an Italian group of people came and settled in Ancoats, and it became known to us publicly. So we decided that because we also have a Madonna del Rosario procession, we would cover that for the first time ever and see how it went. And if it went okay, we would then lead into a bit more about Ancoats and a bit more about ice cream, Italian ice cream, obviously there's a connection. So we did that. We have 45 shares and 210 comments just on the album itself, let alone the live feeds that we did on the other channels. We went live on Facebook, we went live on Instagram, we went in alternatively between the two. That then created a load of comments about people saying, oh my god, I can't believe they're still doing this, and seeing buildings in the background. Oh, was that still there? I used to do this when I was in school, my grandma used to do this. And then that led into us talking a little bit more about Little Italy, and as you can see in the first picture, that area still exists, but we found that again in our archives, that created a bit of it more saying, oh my god, I remember that street, is it here, is it there? I remember the ice cream bit, I remember this. And then Ice Cream Day came in, and we'd already had a chat with a couple of the Italian communities and the Italian families, the granddaughters, who were actually still running a van that's on Market Street today. They still run and play not ice cream, they make ice cream. So on Facebook and on Instagram, I think we also did it on Twitter, but it's best on Instagram and that, where you can see the cameras, people starting putting their own family photos in it. So we found about 5 or 6 photographs that were archived. Plus the penny lick plants now, the invention I'm going to tell you about is the ice cream cone. In a nutshell, what we found out was that when the Italians came over, they used to use a penny lick glass, which is like a little shot glass, with ice cream, lick it, give it back, it get dipped in water, and then given to the next person. Yeah, that look says it all. It says it all. Obviously at the time, there's a lot of time for it, spreading it out, and Manchester Human was talking about shutting them down because they were spreading too many diseases. So a gentleman who had come from Italy and settled was a biscuit maker, created the Twisco, and that saved the ice cream industry. Now, if I hadn't been for that little walk in the park, walking around, looking on the street, we would have never found this out, and it created such a buzz for our communities. So it turned into community-led, came into historical, and came a little bit fun as well. It worked really well for us. So that's that one. We also jump onto a little bit what in this is saying if you find something, we're always looking at stupid daft awareness days and seeing if there's any way we can link it to Manchester in some way. Just again, it's to get that engagement stuff out that we know people will enjoy, so the platforms will push the less engaging stuff. And we jumped on to National Scrabble Day, as you can see that. And that was about us, what we thought Manchester was. We did Scrabble boards on a few Mancunians we picked up in the team, and everybody else started putting stuff in what they thought they would put if they would play Manchester Scrabble, including this one, which is anything. That's slow. Our monkey in, again, I've told you I'll be saying monkey in an awful lot with us. We decided to pick a couple of things up with about 10 points that we thought if we did a quiz asking people, gave so many points to each one, who had done this, who had experienced it, we would be able to get people into the conversation and see how Mancunian they were, they could work out how Mancunian they were. So we asked questions like, as some of these are really sketchy and not gonna lie, they don't really make you Mancunian, which also started a conversation. Oyster chips and gravy, heard Boombox Barry. Boombox Barry's a Manchester legend who cycles always on an electric scooter and he just whizzes past with a massive boombox and he's gone. That's how he travels the city. Everybody knows him. When you're in Manchester and you see him, you'll know it's Boombox Barry. It's his only monocle. Got Muddy at Park Life, which is contentious. One of most Mancunians don't go to Park Life. So most of the Mancunians were going, I don't have that, and not being a full Mancunian. So there's a bit of conversation about that. Being asked if you're red or blue, but obviously goes to football because we're a massive sporting city. Have you done your shopping down Market Street? Run for the platform, run for the train on platform 14. If any of you have been to Manchester, see, I can see nods on there, you know what I'm talking about, don't you? It's a long way away from the rest of the station. Coldfield's inspired our own name, you still call Birmingham Grand Central, is it?
New Street.
I call it New Street. I call it New Street. We call Manchester Central GMX. We call they're never going to change. Like Twitter will always be Twitter. Don't care what he says. And the chosen gallery was. That was how we did it. Created quite a bit of a buzz. People saying I've also gone for the train, missed it, and then went back to platform 4, platform 1 and platform 14. So everyone's kind of getting involved and it's their experiences and they're having a conversation with each other as well as us. Again, it's creating a lot of information and a bit of a chance more so than things.
The key takeaways from this, well, when you do engagement-led stuff, you can basically run with your internal author and just Breakout or box. So you can be a little bit more free, a bit more liberated, kind of like what people were asking in the innocence talk just then. Our audience loves it as well. It's great for engagement. You can have that back and forth. And as we showed there with the live stream day stuff, you know, people just want to share their stories as well and just talk to us. And yeah, it's also just leads us to build more trust with our listeners as well. You know, it gives us that human angle, and that's not easy to do when you work for a local policy. So we'll talk now about how we convey pride in our city. We've got a couple of campaigns that really feed into this. The first one is called the Our Manchester Food Partnership. What this is a grant-led scheme that basically grassroots organisations throughout Manchester will approach the council asking for funding, but more importantly asking for food donations. And then these volunteers, off their own backs, will then distribute food donations within the rooms. And they do incredible work, and it's all very hyper-localised, the work that they do as well. So we really tap into that in our feeds. And we do that with that compassionate tone that I was talking about when we talk about the cost of living crisis. It's a way of just championing great work done by these people. So again, we use that compassionate tone, and we ask people to also give shout-outs to the local organisations. So it keeps the content more hyper-local, and it really gives a really positive boost to our feed as well. And it's a great way of counteracting that negative engagement that we usually see with something like Facebook. Facebook's actually really good to get across the local economy a bit more. So if you tap into those groups more, if you tag that area, talk about those individual areas, then people from those areas are going to come to you on Facebook, and they're going to find you through really positive content. Yes.
Well, let's move things a little bit. Again, unique for Manchester. Can I just say, Manchester is not the wettest city in the UK. It does rain a lot, but it's not the wettest. But everyone thinks it is, so we're going to jump on. So we've always say it's always rains here and share our city in Manchestershire. And that was jumping on to Storm Noah. We had some of that in the bank already. We weren't all taken on the same day, but we kind of go back to the content all the time. They get pictures and give music. I can't remember that particular post had 52,759 impressions. Doesn't say anything about council at all. But it gave a feeling this is your city, and it might be raining, but what it looks like when it's raining. So it gave a little bit of a twist to it. Right, Alan Turing, another very key icon. Manchester City Council has led the way when it comes to LGBTQ plus support for a very, very long time, and we're really, really proud of that. Obviously, we haven't managed to play that, which I think Birmingham has one as well. And this is all about Alan Turner as well, the Unique Code, and it's how we tap into that. That was through his birthday. This was Good Pride itself, and then we've also got a round of Parliament with Pride itself as well. Within these, we got a particular speech, probably one of our biggest this year, of 114,157. We had 2,318 interactions. Again, it's not about the council, it's about your city. This is what the it is a little bit about the council, this is what we do for you, this is what you need to be proud of as well. But it's also engagement in the community, showing them they're here to support you and to improve it.
And then the last example that very important city, we'll talk about the Christmas campaign. Christmas only comes once a year, and once a year you've got a license to break out that corporate fast and just be a bit more fun and festive with your tone of voice as well. And also it allows us to sort of tap into the type of typical content we see on certain channels. So, for example, with TikTok, we really embrace TikTok for our Christmas campaign, and we really push those like fairy lit codes and scenes that people love. And it paid off. That video alone got 90,000 views, and it is just a simple turnaround around the market. And going back to what I was saying about being a bit more fun and festive in tone, we could make things that are a bit more short and snappy, like videos of the Santa Claus being lowered down in St. Peter's Square. Just a single line of copy, the big man has landed, and a really fun video that was based around 2001 with the head being lowered down onto the Santa body. And it was fun and it was engaging. People liked seeing the council break out of like a normal corporate tone. So much so, local press picked it up as a main headline. So yeah, if you've got a chance to play around with Christmas tone, you've got a real opportunity to jump on like that. Run.
So key takeaways. I'm going to say something with a caveat. I'm a great believer, we are a great believer that when we walk around the city, pretty much anything can be content. You just don't know it yet. It could be a photograph of a reef somewhere. It could be a photograph, slow-mo video of the leaves falling, and that could be useful, the clock's going back. It could be anything simple, so it's just about keeping your eyes open, finding that stuff that could potentially use for something in the future, maybe not now. That also helps the channels ensure that your stuff is interesting. So the next thing you're going to push out, and that next thing you might be the stuff that wouldn't get any engagement. But because you put something like this thing highly engaged with and everyone got onto it, it just helped push more important, more serious content out.
Yeah, I think as well, like engagement electrons, as a local authority, it gives you a chance to represent the city to your residents as well, so you can be creative with that. And that's us. Thanks for bearing with us. Yeah, that's perfect.
Is there any questions for me that feel free?
Yeah, I've got Breakout for the in days. Empty birthday point, Daisy.
I think I'm also thinking Daisy is like connected to someone who works.
Yeah, Daisy's a granddaughter. In fact, two of them I can categorically say they're connected to mental staff. Daisy was the granddaughter of a friend of one of our staff. And it's because we've got an internal comms team, we can actually get the message out from our internal comms and say, look, this is what we're thinking of doing. Does anybody want to appear on one of our campaigns? This is what the idea is. A lot of us, it doesn't always work out. It doesn't always work out, but a lot of the time we find that people go, I'm going to be on the council website, which is really good. It's helping us. We'll be on there, and then the engagement comes from, because their mum's going, have you seen that Daisy? And then grandma sees it, and then grandma shares it, and then people go, oh, but look, she's dead cute, and all that kind of thing, and that's how that kind of kicked off. The oldest gentleman was our comms lead dad. So you can probably find the people within your organisations. That's probably the best place to start.
Yeah, you'll have your own networks as well. I mean, one of the ideas that we wanted to do was focusing specifically on the cultural sector. So we reached out to some of our venues to see if anything would be doing. So we also did another campaign of specifically focusing on artists. So we reached out with all the contact data. Yeah, because they're all stakeholders when you're a local authority. So you know they want to engage you. So just make that feel safe.
That's what we just said. It's not speak promotion plan. That's the thing as well. We've got cultural roles and one of the things that Fab's talking about, and we put the message out to a lot of our cultural organisations, all of them picked up with them, and now they've got free promotion in our campaign. So it can work two ways.
And then just another one, how do you select your awareness days? Do you just...
I'm not going to lie, it's random. It's really, really random. We've searched, we know obviously the official ones, and the more serious ones, the health ones and all that kind of stuff. But we've also, we've got certain people that do some of our training, external comes like comes creative. There's lots of websites where they do awareness days, national days, some of them are American, some of them are British, but we will literally go through them and go, ooh, can we do this? Oh, sometimes we write them all down, and some of them are complete nonsense.
Yeah, we do discuss it beforehand though, because
I was going to say, do you get quite a pushback from a couple of
I don't know about, I mean, it's more like we will have that open discussion. So like we were saying about processes, in our weekly meeting, we will chat as a group and see what the proposal is. So something like Blue Monday, like we were talking about this meeting, that is just a marketing thing with travel companies. But there's also like the real impact of mental health. So we did actually tap into it, but we span it. So, you know, Blue Monday isn't, you know, don't feel depressed right now. There are things that we can offer you, there are things that are on the city and stuff like that. So we have that conversation with the group.
Because we have a weekly channel meeting, or what's on this, that and the other, we have a 2-week brainstorming meeting as well. So as a team, we go in and go, okay, this is what we found out, this is what we've seen, this is what we've seen other channels do, how could we use it, could we steal it, spin it into Mancunian, that kind of stuff. So we're always talking about it, and I suppose a bit like the Innocence talk, it's about staying on top of what's going on in your city. Even when you're out on a night out, you might see something and just notice out. Do you know what I mean? It's little things like that. But obviously, the engagement stuff is really random. And in terms of another thing to say to that, I would say was that right at the beginning, we probably did get more pushback. But thanks to our weekly meetings and the stats we can get from Orlo, we were able to prove it. Sometimes we wouldn't go, if I'm being honest with you. Sometimes we would just, we think this is going to work, and we're going to try it. If it doesn't work, then we learn something from it. Bad stuff is bad. Don't do it that often, but once in a while, sometimes you need to test it. And test it on a particular channel, test it here. And we've basically been able to prove that some of the ones we do it as shown on there.
Thank you.
Yes. It does seem like that.
I'm going to stand up because I'm right at the back. I think what you guys are doing is amazing in terms of utilising Manchester and building that pride in it, and you can see that across what you're doing. I hope I speak for my colleagues in places that perhaps haven't got that really strong identity. So I'm from North Castilian District Council. This district, we have two towns. One is a historic marketplace, the other is next to Lincoln, kind of, it's more part of Lincoln than us sometimes. So we've got bits we can pick from. We've got amazing aviation heritage, we've got little stories, but we haven't got a strong identity of having it as a city as colourful and brilliant as Manchester. So what would your main bit of advice be for someone like me who's trying to pick up on these things? What main thing do you think we could do?
Look out and go out into your areas is one of the main things. I mean, like Nisha was saying, a lot of what we find is basically just what we come across. So you would go on a walk and just find things there, or if you work for a local authority, you've probably got archives, so like with History Month stuff, there's a story waiting there to be found. Just use your skills to try and bring those stories to life. And also just like being a bit more on the pulse about what's going on in the areas. So, I mean, there'll be events on, sure, but just going out and seeing what people are doing. You spend a lot of time just basically just snapping pictures and anything like that.
I've known this. Do you never walk down the street without doing something?
Something that might be
normally
easily said. Yeah.
There's more stuff. It was mad, that's fair. But one day I might be able to use it. And it's literally just find that if you close your mind off and go, this is what we always do, you're not going to find the stuff you haven't done. Does that make sense? So go out on your mind, have a look what's around there. You never know what you're going to say, and that's the best way to pick up on it. If you have a lot of events type of things that you do, it's probably a good place to start because you're already doing them. Don't be afraid of Facebook Live either. I found that at first we were quite afraid of going live on Facebook and going live on Instagram, but test it at an event where it's a little bit safer. No one's going to swear live down the phone or this kind of thing. You'll be surprised how suddenly it starts picking up. And that can help you also determine what the next move's going to be. Just that helps.
Yeah, and just two other things as well. Tap into your Steph network, and then Steph will know what's going on. With that video with Santa, we knew about we spoke to our events team before, so we sat there in the college for what was going on. And also there are things that you can also like talk about in the feed that doesn't have to be integrated with mistakes and movies as well. It's just how you spin it, just have a bit of creative license with it and just see what stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Hi guys. You've talked about your kind of process in selecting your pieces, but I'm just so you talked about the inspiration behind that. So thanks for sharing that. But I'm interested in timing. So like when in your meetings, do you kind of talk about the timing? So for example, how mank are you? I thought that was a great engagement piece. But like when would you think about when to put that out in terms of to get the best engagement?
Scheduling's really important. So there's two things with scheduling. We take into account certain times on our feeds where content will do well. So if it's something that we think is gonna buzz, then we'll post that at a certain time. The other thing as well is that we also take into account whether there's anything sensitive going on. And if you're working in a local authority, there probably will be. You don't want to juxtapose something that's like fun and buzzy with something that's a bit more serious. So we have we look at the Orlo schedule for one, which has been quite handy with us. But the other thing as well is we also schedule stuff quite far in advance. In that we'll have an idea set, we'll discuss it, and then when it comes closer to the time, then we'll talk about when to schedule it. So you can sometimes be reactive with it, but I would also say as a local authority, look into what else we've got going on. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I guess I was just curious to know if it was like I guess maybe you would you have a look at what's happening that day and then maybe move stuff around? Because I get that you don't want any fun pieces to go out when there's maybe some serious content going on. I think we do the same. So I work at the council and we do exactly the same.
And I think to add to that, our weekly meetings really help. Because as a team, we're all talking about what we're working on with it. Because one thing about us, we also do print as well. We don't just do social, we do print as well. So we have to bear in mind that we've got content, it's important content to go out. And there's content that's nice to do content, which is engagement and stuff. So we'll focus on the important stuff first, and then see where we can fit this stuff in. Obviously, it's an awareness day. There's a fun awareness day. We'll try and fit that in. If there is something sensitive before then, that awareness day, we'll just forget it for that year. Sometimes we have to kibosh something just to fit in the emotions of what's happening in the city. An example of that was last year. We were at Carnival, Manchester Carnival, and we were going to do the roundup photograph on Monday. Carnival happened Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We were looking at it out on Monday. And on Sunday night, there was an incident related to Carnival, which is quite a serious incident. Well, it was a very serious incident. 2 people died. So we kiboshed it. This year, we've learned from that. It's an awful thing to say, but we've learned from it, and we've actually brought that album to the day that we actually took it, rather than doing it around at the end. So that we had it out, and if anything did happen, it didn't harm our content, and also we didn't fall into any kind of sensitive area. But the meetings will always help. I've intimated before that we have different people that deal with different channels. We all work on all the channels, but each individual is responsible for looking at the stats, seeing what's working, and then the people report it in the weekly meetings. So we've got an expert in Wisdom, we've got an expert on Twitter, one on TikTok, one on Facebook. They're the experts of how things work. So when we all come with our ideas, that expert will go, hang on, I'm not sure if this is going to work because this is what's been happening at the minute. So that all helps us to decide what's going to go out, when it's going to go out. How that helps as well.
Alright, yeah, it does. Thank you.
I'm not sure where I'm with the timings, but if you've got any other questions for me, you should very well be around for the rest of the day. So. And that's no information. Yeah, so thank you to Nisha and Serene. It's interesting to see how their strategy changes depending on the type of content and then depending on the campaign as well, which I guess leads quite nicely into more of our interactive part of the session. I know you've been listening for quite a while, but I just want to give you maybe a few minutes, 5 minutes or so, to talk amongst yourselves and maybe discuss both of these 2 questions before you then feed it back to us. So the first one, I know flu vaccinations is quite a common one. It's a good example of this council. So how would you approach a winter campaign, for example, around flu vaccinations? And then the second part of that is how would you actually judge the success of that campaign? So I've got some sheets. If you've not got notebooks, I've got some paper. I'll just hand them out as well, and then maybe feedback to us 5 minutes.
So 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't think it's more about so they basically seek who wants to kick us off in terms of the first question? Doesn't have to be in loads of detail, but you share a couple of points. We're going to collect them all and then basically send those out. We need them just so that you've got that list. So yeah, who wants to get started? Don't jump at once. Yeah, come on, Misha.
We've decided to go because we are very, very lucky with our team in Mudflat Bay. We've gone for the aspect from the viewpoint of a smaller team.
Okay, yeah.
And that is tap into your own staff.
Okay,
Tap into
yeah.
those stuff. You're going to have people that have field vaccinations. You're going to have people that want to be videoed. You want to have people that don't want to be videoed. In that case, you can just get a statement from them, do a quick asset, put it out, see how it's made them feel, what they've been able to do, and that's how we would approach it.
Try and keep it really personal.
Yeah.
Okay. And then in terms of like, frequency, how hard are you hammering this message? Because obviously it is an important topic. Did you ever think about how frequently you deliver this? Maybe something to think about. Yeah, I don't have that answer myself. But, yeah, cheers, Felicia.
I guess linking back as well to what you said in your talk, it's potentially having the content there ready before the campaign even starts. So like you said, going on a walk, taking pictures of whatever, you've got all the content built up for when, even if you don't even know the campaign will exist, you've got it all there ready. And then linking back to what you raised, it's knowing what people will potentially want to take part in it beforehand. Is that,
That's right,
yeah.
Because I know these guys, there's only them two. So they can go and do what we did. They're doing everything. Which...
So it was like a smaller district rather than the big, okay.
So we also said we'd tap into what our local CCGs, CCGs and things are doing, helping them sharing things, resources that are already there.
Perfect, exactly. Thanks for that. I think, did a hand go up? Yeah.
We stole Misha's idea.
I did think Misha's given all the answers before then. We got questions.
We didn't trust the content because we didn't want to offend certain groups and people. Because somebody said it's only for old people. I'm in that category. I don't feel funny. So we decided that all the content was there from the government, and we would just reuse that content without the risk of creating our own content and offending people.
Yeah, so I guess in a way then it's all pre-approved content. You don't have to go through all the approval, or you've not got that risk of a colleague or a staff member putting a picture out, everyone freaks out. So so it's all, I guess, that pre-approved content.
We're more if they get it wrong, it's not our fault.
Oh yeah. So in a way, backing yourself. It's not us. Perfect. Any more?
My suggestion last time was still seem to get about things that are already wrong yet. So about the multi-land previous year, what you went for.
Oh, okay, yeah. So linking back then to what we've spoken about before, what content does work, what doesn't, you've got the proof there. So I guess common sense, or it makes sense to look at previous campaigns that flopped. So do we do that again next year? Yeah, perfect. I guess from me, would you be thinking about a specific target audience before running a campaign, or is that something that would just putting it out there as a consideration?
So we did it before while I was putting all the COVID, but the community champions, so Libby down at Piazza, the Italian community loves him, so he did a video in Italian of our script, and then went to different communities. We got different community leaders or people that respected the community to do our work for us because they're trusted and we weren't always.
Oh, perfect. So you had in mind the target audience there. And I guess linking back to, sorry, I don't know your name, your point then with, I guess, lack of resource, you've got the content there. So it's just a case of finding it and using that, saves you a job, saves you the time. Look for the pre-approved or the content that's already there. You just need to find it. Anything more on the first point?
I think also, it's just off the top of my head now. In terms of social listening, we can gauge what people are talking about, and as an authority, knowing that you know what you're talking about, comment on other people's posts. So it's not really your campaign, but you're putting your voice across if this is what's going on. Helps you from them voice of trust and people come over to you.
So then detecting key themes, knowing what's relevant, knowing then what you want to push out, what will do well within that campaign. Yeah, exactly. Perfect, thank you. So then I guess question 2, how would you then go about judging the success of a campaign? What would you look for? Any feedback?
I suppose we were looking at doing this as staff campaigns. If we pushed it out internally, looking at staff uptake of actually getting through vaccination.
Oh, okay, so it's more internal.
Like we were saying, we encourage our frontline staff, we give it them for free so they can continue to work
Okay.
because they're public facing.
So then if the staff uptake was low, then you think, well, actually,
It didn't work.
something's not right here. So link it back to the internal processes of boxes being ticked here. Yeah. Okay, great. I mean, in terms of key metrics, are there any key metrics that you specifically tend to look for, or is it just a load of engagement is great? Whether it's good engagement, bad engagement, do you just look for as much engagement as possible? Just again, thoughts or feedback.
You talk about specific winter campaigns in general.
Probably more in general, yeah. Oh,
No.
there's one right at the back.
I think it's important to agree, because it's a piece usually with stakeholders, to agree what the outcomes are. And I think probably the asset test like is an actual uplifting people actually making action change. It's not a piece where you build loads of engagement and life subjects of different sort of topic, and that's sort of got lots of different comments about how Manchester we are. You actually want people to uptake and take the flu vaccination. So I think it's key to sort of set them out so that can actually steer and model your campaign once you've got those clear.
Yeah, okay, so uptake, and then that will help then influence obviously future campaigns, linking back to the previous point, what works, what doesn't work, and how then you will plan for your following campaigns. Perfect. Anything else before we move on? No? Fab, thank you for that. I mean, feel free to take those bits of paper if you did fill them at home, or we'll collect them in afterwards. And like Jordan said, we'll collate all the feedback and follow up after the big social with key points and key takeaways. And now we have the lovely Ben Kelly to go through some of our product section.
Thank you.
It's not a clicker, it's just
It's a presser, yeah. Hello everyone. I'm Ben, and I have the unfortunate position of being between you and the lunch break, so I won't keep you for too long. I'm the solutions consultant here at Orlo, so I work on the product team alongside Hardy, who's our head of product. We might need to meet you around today. And my role encompasses quite a few different areas of the business, whether it's the feedback we're receiving from our customers via Leader and her team, whether it's the development of those new features, keeping an eye on future trends and making sure essentially what we put into the platform is what's going to be most beneficial to you all to use it, and make sure we're not building things for the sake of building them. And I wanted to talk today a little bit around the key themes that today's built on, so engagement, demand and trust. So this is something that's been something on the forefront of our mind for at least the last 12 months, if not longer. We had it as our key topic for our UK tour. So if anybody was able to attend any of those events where we travelled up and down the country, you might have seen this slide before. But we've built on that, and we've actually said all of these three challenges are actually intertwined and they're linked in this kind of equation format. So if you're handling the engagement side of your content, whether it's putting content out, having it be received, having it be engaged with, and you're handling the demand that will come off the back of that content, but also demand in general across any new services that you're providing, the existing services, or any key topics of conversation where something's just come out and everybody wants to know what's going on, so they come straight to you for it. If you can handle these two elements, then the trust kind of comes as a part of that. It's something that has to be almost grown organically rather than something you tackle directly to build. And we wanted to talk a little bit around how Orlo is trying to help you achieve that increase in trust by helping you manage your engagement and your demand. So improving engagement is our first piece there, so being in contact with your entire community. And this kind of expands into not just the traditional channels that we all have been used to, but looking to see what else is coming up on the horizon. So a big one for us recently was Nextdoor. Until I think the last couple of months, they didn't have an API for any third-party tool to work with, but it's something they're starting to put together now. We were one of the first tools that actually implemented that, so being able to post out on Nextdoor. And our relationship with them is at that point where we're actually collaborating with them on how their API should work. So when they expand and build on that and add things like community management from the comment piece, being able to pull those in and respond, down to actual targeting of the post, so not just posting something out into a next door group, but targeting it to people within that group. We're going to be at the forefront of that and helping facilitate that two-way dialogue. Being able to manage the demand. So when we first spoke about this, it was almost like a two-sided approach where if you get the engagement right, you're also kind of not making a problem for yourself, but you're increasing that demand. So it's being able to do that effectively. So you're not driving one up and not being in a position to manage the outcome of being performing well on this side of the equation and then almost being punished for that on the other. So being able to manage that efficiently, cost effectively, and hopefully save your team's time when it does come to the inbound engagement. And then actually measuring that level of trust. So kind of these 2 points together at the bottom, using our insights and reporting, we're going to be providing you a trust metric to measure on. So our insights uses AI technology to monitor things like sentiment and emotion, and we're going to generate that into a trust score. So whether you're looking at a group of messages on your social accounts themselves, indirect mentions because you set up a listening stream to see if people are talking about you as an organisation but not to you, or just for a particular topic or an event, using that campaign there for the vaccinations. What are people actually saying about that? When people do discuss that as a topic, is the general consensus one of trust or distrust? And then what's actually driving that score? And that's where we'll just jump into our social maturity curve. So we also see this as almost the journey most organisations we work with are either on or starting or hopefully near the end of. And it fits nicely into those three areas. So where engagement's the focus, we see that almost as the beginning journey point for the social choice, I suppose, for being able to put content out, reaching the people you need to reach, but that being the single initial focus of getting that message out there, whether it's a broadcast one because you have to alert people to something, and then not really going on the other side of that, so not really taking into account what's coming back of that content. Then that obviously leads into demand. So when you start to actually acknowledge before this great engaging content out and it's causing us an increase in demand, working across the different channels that you might need to spread out across, because it seems to be a thing that we'll always be doing, that digital transformation piece of can we get people off phones so phones can remain that source of engagement for the key issues where people need to talk, and then we can push people towards a digital approach for the not so key issues or the common questions. I always seem to reference potholes and bin collections, which always seems to be the key issues when people are then talking to organisations like yourselves. And then at the end, the trust element. So once you've really nailed on these two, being able to generate reports on your trust score from the public and what's affecting that, and then being able to, you mentioned like listening to the people that are talking either to you or about you. What are they talking about? What are their key issues or interests? And then using that to, again, feed back into these first two pieces, all with the idea of being able to build up trust. So these next few slides are just a few key bits around the Orlo platform themselves and how these different areas can help you with these three sections for today. So when we talk around engagement, we're about content performance here. So we have our marketing and campaign analytics, where you can start to track top posts. So touching on that point from Innocent this morning, and again from Manchester earlier, like being able to experiment and try new things, and then being able to report on what has worked and what hasn't. Is there a trend in terms of the topic or the style of the type of content? And then using that again to focus, like, we'll use that next time because we know that works well. As part of our insights, we're also going to be including influencer and a community breakdown. So being able to see not just how many people have messaged you and who's been responsible for the most messages, but focus on the influencers within that target audience and then see exactly what they're actually posting about or what they're messaging to you. And then break that down from a trusting and distrusting perspective for advocates and detractors. And then using that trust score then alongside census data to identify at-risk communities. So looking at things like gender, age, and location, see what groups of individuals, what areas of people are the most at risk for yourselves in terms of the messaging they're sending is being picked up as very distrusting. So being able to not just see that, but then click into that visual and show you, okay, when people are distrusting in this target audience, this demographic, what's causing that, what's driving that distrust, and then how can we then plan to affect that moving forward. In terms of demand then, so we have quite a few parts of the platform based around handling demand. So again, referencing that insights reporting, being able to understand what's causing that contact and demand, whether it's the AI reporting to generate the themes we've detected, or something as simple as the team managing that demand by tagging those messages, having reports then to feedback on, we've had 100 messages in regarding this particular service, this is like a key issue service for us. Let's see what those messages are. Why is it a problem service? Why is the sentiment around all of this engagement to do with this particular thing negative? And just essentially closing that loop on, yes, you're asking for demand, you're asking for engagement. You get that demand come in, and then you use the information through the reporting to hopefully reduce that demand in an effective way. Automatic message routing, so based on those inbound messages, let's send them to the right person or team to deal with first, so there's not a wait for that person to get an answer, and there's not essentially like an internal faff of deciding who should be picking this up, who needs to deal with this, it's already going to the right place. Tracking team and user performance, so we kind of see certain NPS in the platform, and when we talk to our public sector, especially councils, police forces and NHS, NPS sometimes drops off in terms of like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to recommend this organisation to a friend or colleague? You don't really get a choice with public sector sometimes, like this is my council, this is my police force, this is my local GP. So then, rather than thinking of it as a way to score yourself on the motor score, you can use it just as a way to ask questions to people engaging with you through the platform. So once you've resolved their issue, you've handled their conversation, you can send them a scoring question. You can even just ask them very bluntly, like, how, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you trust us as an organisation? And then ask a follow-up comment question, like if we could do anything to improve that, what would it be? And then report on that, again, to feed into that strategic listening perspective and plan strategy and comms around that. And be alerted to new and emerging crises as well. So something we're adding imminently to our insights module is the ability to alert you to spike detection, essentially. So rather than reporting after the fact, to let you know something's actually happening right now. We've had X amount of messages in the last 10 minutes, all to do with this one thing. Here's an email. We've tagged all those results so you can find them in the tool. We've sent you a notification on Teams if that's your group chat of choice to be alerted there. Just so, again, you can be informed immediately, live, as things are happening. And then the last bit's there around AI. So we have a chatbot that sits currently across Facebook, Twitter, and live chat, and is used to handle FAQ and deflect noise. So again, building on our AI to help you handle the bulk of the engagement and demand. So then you can focus on the key issues or things that take a little bit more time and maybe a more careful touch, whilst letting the bots and the signposting send people to where they can find that information out already, because you've already put the effort in creating that web page, creating that article to let everybody know about that topic. And then finally there, just on trust, so just a quick visual of what the trustometer will look like. So being able to report on this within the app, not only just see an overall score based on the messaging and the data we're currently looking at, but then to show the key themes and what is the key drivers for our trust being that low or our trust being that high, and then focusing on those themes maybe as strategic plans to address, and then seeing as well things like top emotions, top engagers, top influencers within here. What are your key advocates and detractors? Like who's pushing the most negative messaging around you? Do they have a point, or is it just one of those high intensity users we call them, but the spammers or the trolls who just out to message you as much as possible? And then finally, just to touch on our roadmap theme, so all those plans for the year ahead, we want to focus on integration. So we love channels and data. We built that whole Insights AI reporting just to address all of the data we currently have. So it's making sure we keep on top of that. Like I mentioned, building integrations with Nextdoor, maintaining that. We're seeing a push over towards WhatsApp now as a channel, almost as I think not a safety net, but with everything going on with X and Twitter, there are definitely people looking for alternatives for one-to-one communication. So we're seeing a big increase in chat to us around WhatsApp and how does that work and what does that look like within the platform, as well as CRM systems. So we have a few what we call out of the box, like Dynamics, to help automate this, but making sure you're listening to all of you, if you have a specific tool or a CRM, how do we build that in Orlo so you can help manage that. Maintaining the work we do in our inbox, so when it comes to conversation management, we recently added priorities in there, so now you can have like a visual color-coded view of high priority messaging based on content or author, so you can visualize and prioritize and filter by that. So constantly adding to that, because that's one of our key areas within the tool for managing demand. Building on our insights reporting, I touched on there around our audience analysis, so things like influencers, advocates and detractors, and then finally maintaining the work we do with automation. So we currently, as I mentioned, have chatbot across a few of the direct message channels we support. We're looking to expand that as well, again, as more channels come into the fold or become, I suppose, prevalent with our public, like what channel they're using the most, adding them to the tool and making sure there's that automation piece in there to help you manage that demand. I think that next slide is that questions. So I'm not going to take questions now because I can see other groups moving towards lunch, so I don't want to hold you up for that. But I will be mooching around upstairs. I've got a demo desk, so if anybody wants to see anything around the platform, ask me any questions about what I've just run through, come give me a nudge. And then yeah, that's the SMT as well. Anyone in the purple shirt essentially can help out. Yeah. But that's it.